Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we shall be taking a look at the newly released Transformers Generation Selects Deluxe Class Deep Cover, one of the fastest turnarounds that I have ever seen from Hasbro, as I believe this figure was only unveiled on Tuesday. Taking a look here at the packaging, you can see that it is more or less the exact same as we have come to expect with all of these Gen Select figures, so without further ado, let's crack this open and see what awaits us inside. Just slit this section here, open up this top section, and already I'm noticing something a little different when compared to the other figures. Oh wow, that's actually quite cool. So you can see that we have deep cover clearly displayed here, looking fantastic. No imperfections as far as the paintwork is concerned. And something which I'm noticing for the first time is that by the looks of things, this is one of the first Transformers figures that I have seen to be packaged in an entirely cardboard piece. You can see that we have no plastic clamshell, no plastic twist ties. Everything in here is indeed cardboard. So of course Hasbro are now moving into that stage where they are trying to eliminate plastic from their packaging. But without further ado, let's crack this open and see what deep cover has in store for us. And so here we have deep cover opened up and out of the packaging, and if the figure does look fairly familiar to you, that is because he is merely just a direct repaint of the Transformers Siege Sideswipe. Now to be honest, deep cover here is a character that up until his announcement, I personally had never actually heard of, although from what I can gather, this figure here is based on a repaint of a Sideswipe toy that I believe was released in 2003. So it's nice to see this almost repaint continuity that we still have in 2021, but regardless of me not knowing a lot about the character, that does not detract any points away from how awesome this particular figure does look. In my opinion, this has got to be one of the best repaints we have gotten from this mold so far, and as far as personal preference is concerned, I am actually divided on whether or not I prefer this colour scheme over Siege Sideswipe himself. Taking a look here at the details, that you can see that as far as the head sculpt is concerned, it has been cast out of an entire blue plastic, which I've got to say definitely does look really nice in hand. I also like the incorporation here of some silver paint applications used for the main faceplate. You can also see a nice silver there at the top, as well as the Allspark blue there for the eyes. As we take a look here from a top perspective, you can see how we of course do have the same ports that we got on Sideswipe. Something which is different when comparing deep cover to both Red Alert and Sideswipe is that he actually comes with both of their accessories. So with either of those releases, we only saw one of each weapon. However, with deep cover, they have packaged both of them in, so we do get Red Alert's blaster as well as Sideswipe's shoulder cannon, and I personally love how these particular accessories have turned out. Upon seeing some of the images of this figure for the first time, I did actually believe that Hasbro had slapped on a Lamborghini logo here to the front section of the hood. It definitely does look like that if you are looking at the figure from a further perspective, although it is this almost sheriff badge detail, and I've got to say that it does look really impressive. I also like the detail here for the front headlights. As far as the arms are concerned, the main joint too has been cast out of a blue plastic, and this here does look slightly cheaper when comparing it to the actual plastic that we got here with the head, but nevertheless it is still a really nice looking colour palette. The shoulders here have been cast in a very reflective black plastic, so it gives you this almost premium feel, with the arms here completely cast out of white with some fantastic sculpt work. The hands there done in a blue, and as we take a look here towards the mid-torso, we've got some smaller details such as this arrow section which has been picked out in a white, as well as the abdomen section which too has been painted. As we take a look here down to the lower section of the figure, these have also been cast in a blue plastic. We also do have some nice red and silver paintwork there, with the feet completely picked out in a very nice looking metallic silver. As far as articulation is concerned, we do get a ball joint here at the head, so this can look left to right as well as up and down and tilt side to side. Full 360 here at the arms, which can hinge out to the sides. Full 360 here at the bicep, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the elbow. Full rotation here at the waist. The legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to that far. He can of course do the splits. We do get a rotation here at the upper thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the knee. And then finally, of course, we have the signature War for Cybertron Trilogy ankle rocker pivot. So overall, as far as articulation is concerned, the deluxe class Sideswipe mold, in my opinion, has always been one of the most agile looking characters to pose around, and it is no exception here with deep cover. The only area that I would have liked to have seen improved would have been some wrist articulation. So with all that being covered, that just about wraps it up here. Of course, we do have some nice detailing here for the blaster. You can see some fantastic sculpt work, and as this is now done in a metallic silver, it really does help to bring out some of the sharper details of the sculpt. And of course we have the rocket launcher, which is a mix of white paint, silver paint, and of course the cast black plastic. This section can break down into two individual components, so you could remove this to give the impression that this has shot out of the main cannon, or you could use each of these as their own individual firearm. But overall, as far as deep cover is concerned, it is a really nice looking repaint, and one that I am certainly glad to add to the collection. For a very quick comparison, here we have deep cover compared next to Siege Netflix Sideswipe. So of course this version is a little more burned out than the original Siege release, but as far as the moulding is concerned, you can see that they are basically the exact same thing. If anything, as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, I am actually torn on whether or not I do prefer deep cover over Sideswipe, as with the more vibrant colour scheme, it does allow you to appreciate the detail a little better, especially where that head sculpt is concerned. Of course, we have got the extra silver there at the top, whereas here with Sideswipe, it had merely just been cast out of black plastic, but overall, they are both very nice figures in their own regards, and I do actually prefer the cast white plastic that we do get here with deep cover than as opposed to this almost sun-damaged, washed-out, grey-like plastic that we got here for Siege Sideswipe. Turning to transformation, to begin with, of course, you're going to want to remove both of deep cover's accessories. We can take the hands here, fold them into their respective cavities, take this torso piece, ensure the head is pulled forward and tap that into place, collapse this section, hinge the arms out, fold these pieces around, rotate the waist. We can then flip our attention here to the back, hinge this section out, push that forwards, repeat the same process here on the opposite side, collapse the toes in, of course, snap these sections into place, bring this entire assembly here up and over, snap those panels in there. We can then bend the arms 90, bring this entire section in, and of course repeat the same process here on the opposite side and just collapse those panels. And then we have deep cover fully transformed up into his very awesome, almost Cybertronian Lamborghini looking alternate mode. Now, as mentioned when we took a look at him in robot mode, this decal here upon first glance to me really did resemble the Lamborghini logo, and I'm unsure as to whether or not that was the intention that Hasbro had with placing it here. You can also see that here in the alternate mode we do have the same detail, however a little larger here on the sides of the vehicle mode. They have decided to cast this entire transparent piece here in an almost clear plastic, which I've got to be honest, I personally don't believe looks all that great. As you can see, you can clearly see the white hinge joint that the front of the vehicle mode does attach to in order to transform, but nevertheless you can see some fantastic looking sculpt work actually underneath this section, which does make it appear slightly more visually appealing. We of course have some nice details here for the front headlights, and as far as the overall sculpt work for this vehicle mode is concerned, in my opinion it is one of the best to come out of the Siege line. We of course have the red tail lights here, and all of the rims have been picked out in a super nice silver, and of course he can roll along the ground with absolute ease, which is fantastic to see for a figure which I believe is either the 4th or 5th reuse of this mold. Of course we did get Sideswipe, we got Red Alert, then we got Tiger Tracks, and of course we got the Netflix repaint, so I do believe this is the 5th version that we are seeing of this. And we also got the G2 version of Sideswipe, a figure which unfortunately I never actually picked up due to it being in a box set. As far as storing some of these accessories are concerned, you can just port that into there and have this rest here at the top, so you can definitely have a very heavily armoured looking sports car. And overall I really do like how this figure here has turned out. And here, for a very quick comparison as well as my final thoughts, you can see we have deep cover compared next to Siege Sideswipe, and much like we saw in the robot mode, they are the exact same mold. It is merely just the difference as far as the colorization is concerned that sets these two characters apart. If I had any major critiques here with deep cover, it's that I'm not a huge fan of the cast blue plastic hinge joints that are clearly visible here in the alternate mode. The entire vehicle for the most part is black, so it definitely does break up the overall silhouette, but setting that critique off to the side, we are left with a very sleek and elegant looking vehicle mode. And overall, if you are a fan of the Siege Sideswipe and like the look of this deep cover repaint, then I'm pretty certain that you'll be happy with your purchase if you do decide to pick this up. As mentioned at the beginning of this review, deep cover is a character that I, before this announcement, had never actually encountered nor heard of, so the introduction of this character was definitely a surprise to me, although a very pleasant one, and I am certainly glad to add him to the collection. I really hope that you enjoyed this rather quick review. I would love to know down in the comment section below on whether or not deep cover is a character that you had heard of before this Gen Select announcement, and whether or not you shall be adding him to your collection. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.